Yeah, what's going on, family? Y'all already know what time it is. Another episode of Camionero Cartel. For those of us that don't speak Spanish, Camionero means truck driver. Cartel is a band, a group, or a team of people that are working together in order to gain power and financial wealth. As I always tell the family, make sure to stay positive. You can accomplish anything that you put your mind to. All right, life is short. Years fly by. All right, every day counts, every moment counts. All right, and just because you're on the grind, the majority of the time, make sure to take a seat and relax. All right, inhale and exhale and take in some of the beauty that life has to offer while you're on your way to your final destination. All right, now we're in the beautiful Dominican Republic right now. We've traveled to Panama, we've traveled to Medellin, Colombia, we've traveled to Cali, Colombia, all right? And finally, we made it to the Dominican Republic. All right, now this is just an example just to let you guys know that, hey, there's more to just being inside your truck, being on the ground making money, and traveling the nation. You can actually travel the world, right? So I wanted to tell you all this morning that I'm going to respond to a question that a subscriber had asked me about 3 days ago while I was still in Colombia. My subscriber asked me, he said, man, what convinced you to learn Spanish, right? Why'd you want to learn Spanish? And how did you do it? I said, man, check this out. When I first came to the Dominican Republic back in 2018, right, I was nervous, you know? I didn't know too much Spanish. All I knew, like I always tell you, is hola, ¿cómo estás? And hola, ¿cómo estás? is like a jab. If you know, back when I was a boxer, they used to say, before you would learn anything, work on your jab, get your jab right, right? So once you get your jab right, then you don't have to worry about speed right now. Speed will come. That's what my trainer always told me. Speed will come. Work on your form, all right? So I started working on my form first. Jab, right? Every day, jab, right? Then I learned how to put my dukes up. Put your dukes up, right? So when it came down to Spanish, I started out with the basics, right? Hola, ¿cómo estás? Hello, how are you, right? And people would always respond with the same thing. Todo bien, right? Means all is well. Todo bien, todo bien, todo bien. So I didn't know any other words outside of that to begin with. Hola, ¿cómo estás? And people would respond, todo bien. So I said, man, this is pretty easy. You know, people say the same thing every day, you know, and like with repetition, anything becomes easy with time. So after learning that word or learning those words, right, you start to add to it, right? It's just like in boxing. Instead of just learning your jab, pow, right? Now you learn how to jab, right? And hook, or uppercut rather. So you learn uppercut, you learn jab, boom, uppercut, pow, right? So I learned words like I'm hungry, right? Tengo hambre, right? So I said, okay, hola, ¿cómo estás? Tengo hambre, right? And little by little, you start to put those jabs and those uppercuts and those hooks together, and now you can form a sentence, right? And then after you form a sentence, you learn another sentence, right? So next thing you know, you're having a basic conversation with people. You say, hey, I'm hungry, you know, how are you? You know, where's the bathroom? ¿Dónde está el baño? You know, and little by little, people say, hey, man, you're pretty good, right? So you keep adding to that. I initially learned Spanish because when I came to the DR, like I said, I didn't know anything. I had a girl down here that I was talking to at that time, getting to know. And it's easy to talk to women when you have that Google Translate or when you're doing text messages, right? Because you can pretty much write whatever you want and be fluent. But when it comes down to opening your mouth and actually having a straight conversation with a woman that speaks Spanish and doesn't speak any English, it's difficult, you know? It was very difficult for me, you know? And I was embarrassed. It kind of strips you of your masculinity in a way, because you're just looking like, you know, so you kind of feel like a dum-dum. So when I came down here, man, I realized the lack of knowledge that I had, right? My ignorance at that time about the language and the culture. And I said, man, this can't continue. You know, I can't continue to do this because I don't want to be in a restaurant or at the beach or something like that, and then somebody's up talking to my girl, right? Saying all type of sly stuff. And I don't even know what they're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Because once the waiter knows that, hey, you don't know a lick of Spanish, if he likes your girl, he might say something fly. So you need to be able to recognize those things and go ahead and check it. You know what I'm saying? And your girl's not gonna do anything like that if she knows you speak Spanish. Nor the waiter. You know, so that was kind of a situation that I used to motivate me to improve my Spanish initially, right? I said, man, I gotta learn this. I gotta communicate with my girl. And I figured like, hey man, she's not gonna stay with me too long, right? If I can't hold a conversation. Because generally speaking, women are going to be more on the auditory tip, right? You can get with a woman a lot faster based off of your mouthpiece, okay, than your looks sometimes, right? Because if all you have to offer is your looks, you know, that's all good. It's like having a beautiful woman on your side. I mean, that's cool and everything, you know, initially. But if she has nothing else to offer, then, you know, you get bored after a while. So conversation is very important. You got to be able to hold your woman's interest, right, from an auditory aspect. So when I got back to the States, man, I was hitting YouTube up hard, you know, studying basic Spanish every day. You know, I changed my phone to Spanish. I changed the GPS, you know, when I was navigating in the streets, right, carrying and moving freight all around the nation. I said, I'm gonna change this to Spanish too. I know I'm not gonna understand initially, but little by little, you start to understand, okay. You know, now instead of looking at it with confusion, you start to say, okay, so gira a la izquierda means turn to the left. Gira a la izquierda, gira a la izquierda. Every time I see that the GPS is taking me to the left, my GPS says gira a la izquierda, gira a la derecha. So I was like, okay, gira a la izquierda, gira a la derecha. Okay, that means turn left, that means turn right. So little by little, and with my associations all around the world, right, teaching me, hey, correct the way you said that. You didn't say that exactly right. You know, try to say it again. And little by little, you get better and you get better and you get better. And it took a process. It took some years. And sometimes I did want to give up. I was like, man, I'm just going to stay with the language that, you know, I was born with. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, you know, I was born in an environment that we only speak one language. So that's just what it's going to be, right? But when I went back down to the DR again, I said, man, let me get back into the fire. I know it's uncomfortable, but that's the only way diamonds are created, right, with pressure. So I put myself back inside the fire and continued and continued. And then I got to a point where I was exhausted again. I was like, man, I'm never gonna learn it, right? But after taking a break, taking a rest, just like a boxer has to go to the corner and take a shot of water, right? Get a little motivational speech from the coach. You get out there, get back in the ring and make it happen, right? And finally, you will arrive at your final destination, which is success. And that's what I've arrived to, success. And like I've told you before, right? You can become anything you put your mind to. You want to learn Spanish, you can do it. Right now, working on my Haitian Creole, right? I'm getting pretty good at that. But I'm still a baby, right? And just like in any language, you start out as a baby, you work your way up and become a toddler, and then you become an adolescent and so forth and so on, right? So my goal is to learn as many languages as I can. Right now, I say I speak 3 languages, working on 4, right? Because French is one of the languages on the list, right? But right now, I can say that I speak Spanish, English, Haitian Creole, and working on French, okay? So, like I say all the time, you can become anything you want to be in life. You can be anywhere you want to be, right? There's always a way. If the door is shut, look for a window. The windows are shut, look for a chimney, right? If there's no other way, then guess what? We're going to have to make a hole in the wall and get up out of there. You know what I'm saying? So you can do anything you want to do, people. You can be anywhere you want to be. If you want to be successful, you can do it, all right? You can be anything you want to be. I always tell you that, all right? So once again, live from the DR, as always, family, much love, peace. Just wanted to give you all a reason why I decided to learn Spanish, right? It's because it was necessary. So find out what's necessary in your life, put your mind to it, and make it happen. All right, family, much love. Peace.